Oh, for sure, mate. And that's one of our big messages is you never know why that kid came to school with a dirty shirt on, or why he hasn't got lunch, or why he's upset, or she. There's grandma could have died, or you don't know what dad did to mum, or there's so many things that happen in the background, and it can be that one comment that one person makes to another that's enough to tip people over the edge sometimes, unfortunately.
Mate, do you need a coaster for that drink?
Thanks, mate. Yeah. Beautiful.
No dramas.
Tarnish the top of the table now. Righto, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to TradeMutt's 120 Grit podcast, the podcast for the working class. And once again, we've got a great guest. He's the co-founder of Dolly's Dream, anti-bullying campaigner, and he's an all-round nice guy. Kate Everett, welcome to the show.
How you going, mate? Thank you.
Mate, going well. It's good to have you in here finally.
It's good to be down here, yeah.
He had to throw that line in about the nice guy,
He didn't he?
Yeah, well, had to.
It was either going to be all-round nice guy or all-round guy.
had to buddy you up.
I'll brace myself for what's to come.
Mate, 100%. So, like I said, it's been in the pipeline for a while to get you down here.
Yep.
And it's great to finally get you in, have a bit of a chat. I'm pretty excited about this one.
Yeah, for sure.
We met.
We did.
Last
Toowoomba.
year. Yeah. Unleash the Beast.
That's right.
Yeah, awesome event.
Yeah. No, it was good.
Up in T-Bar.
Yeah. And we got to have a yarn with you and Kate up there, and got a TradeMutt shirt on your back pretty bloody quickly.
We did.
You came up to us.
Yes.
It's out of control.
No, they're bloody. It's a good thing. It's it's something that stands out in the crowd, and I travel around a little bit and see more and more of it every day, and it's good that people are into it and aware of it now. So I think it's bloody take my hat off to you. It's great.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Well, that's what I was saying before when we were having a chat before you came in about I was in Sydney coming home yesterday, and at the airport there was a lady in front of me, and she was putting her stuff through the radar detector there, and it was a Dolly's Dream cap, and obviously I instantly knew what it was.
Yep.
But I thought, they're so well known now, and people know what they stand for and what the foundation's about. But there's probably a lot of people out there listening that don't.
Yeah.
What is Dolly's Dream?
Yeah, mate. So it's just it was originally designed as a children's charity in the early stages, but I think now it's blown out to anyone and everybody that wants to have a yarn about it. Obviously, we do focus on children.
Yep.
And around bullying and kind behaviour, and you don't have to be a fairy in life, but it's not hard to just be nice, and everybody doesn't mind slinging a little bit every now and then, but just trying to teach kids when enough's enough, and to look after each other really. So it's pretty simple message.
It's a universal message. I think it's super important across the board, and something that a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah,
I think there's obviously a lot of kids going out there in schools, a lot of different hardships that they face, and so you never know how your actions might affect someone's day or life.
Oh, for sure, mate. And that's one of our big messages is you never know why that kid came to school with a dirty shirt on, or why he hasn't got lunch, or why he's upset, or she. There's grandma could have died, or you don't know what dad did to mum, or there's so many things that happen in the background, and it can be that one comment that one person makes to another that's enough to tip people over the edge sometimes, unfortunately. So that's what we're about, trying to check on people really. Be kind,
100%.
Yeah, for sure. And so Dolly's Dream came about after you lost your daughter to suicide in 2018, Dolly.
Yeah.
Can you take us back to that time? I guess this is the hard stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
But
this is the worst part of the job. But and we tell our story for a reason. Obviously as parents, and especially me as a father. Rural Australian man that it's you got this ego bloody thing that you should live up to and all the rest of it, and we're obviously remote Northern Territory. Kids did homeschool, went to boarding school, that's a 9-hour car drive, then a 4-hour flight, then another 2-hour drive for them to get to school. So, completely and utterly removed from us. And it's funny when the kids went, they both went. Meg and Dolly both went at the same year, so they had each other and all the rest of it. And we were actually more worried about Meg than Dolly. Dolly was everywhere we went. Dolly'd end up with 20 kids back at camp, and like a little Pied Piper. And so we thought, shit, we've really got to look after Meg here. She's, if you're a friend of Meg, you're one of about probably 3. So
A lot more introverted.
Yeah. And I think looking back now, that's how the trouble started. I think Dolly was used to having all the friends and being, the not the popular kid, but the one that everybody followed and looked up to. And obviously change of environment, change of, class, everything else. And I think then kids go into a bit of a subconscious way of trying to please others to be popular and
trying to fit into their environment to a degree, I suppose.
Yeah, that's it. So, obviously it's pretty tough for them, but it's tough for a parent too. It's dry, it's, short-staffed, and cattle prices are pretty ordinary, and our kids are fully aware of how that worked and, what it meant for us, and knew that we sacrificed a lot to pay for the boarding school fees that we did. So I think they kept a lot of what was going on behind the scenes to themselves, which is unfortunate. But, obviously Dolly got into a bit of trouble with bullying. She had one young fella just picking on her. And
it was a co-ed school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And this is how it sort of all started. And it's funny, I was only reading something today, no one will recognise mean behaviour until it's called retaliation.
Yeah.
And then that's when it flares up. So, Dolly, this fella was calling her all sorts of names of, I don't even know if a 12-year-old knows what these names mean or anything. But Dolly came home and we were at camp and she was telling me about it one day, and I said, oh, mate, just tell him, pull his head in, don't worry about it, as a dad does. And meanwhile, you got this little blonde-haired ponytail girl that you worried don't want to let her go. And anyway, she gets back to school and this fella's pushed her and bloody whatever at school, and she jumped up and said, piss off, you can't push me around. And he pushed her again. And anyway, she's closed the old knuckles up and smacked him in the nose. And of course, all of a sudden she's the bad person now and she's been suspended. And anyway, so I talked to Dole and, she's, but, how long am I meant to cop that before I break? And I said, no, it's fine, mate. And I wasn't at all worried as a father. I thought, that's what,
she's got this.
Yeah, she's obviously got enough backbone to handle this, and I think it just got progressively worse. And unbeknownst to us now, looking back as a father, there's so many alarm bells, and we ended up pulling her out of school just before the end of school in 2006 to 17, and she was a day student for the last few weeks of term, and completely changed it. Back to old Dole, ringing every couple of nights, how's this, how's that, what are you doing? Anyway, she came home for school holidays and we'd, drafting cattle and trucking cattle, and I used to drive the truck too, which is, another no-no, and a big thing I've learned is work's work, but family's way more important. So, I'd find those kids would come home for school holidays and I'd be in the truck or I'd be away, or, you'd be flat out working and you'd never see them anyway. So to me, that's wasted years as well. And, how much of a part did that play in Dolly doing what she did? So, for me, I've got to live with that now and think about it. But I'll never forget, we were driving home one night in the truck, paddock carting, and a good mate of mine, pretty good mate of yours too, he had a song come on the radio, on the CD, and I'm too drunk to drive. And anyways, Dolly goes, oh, do you want a beer, Dad? And I said, well, we're listening to Tiny, so we probably should have a beer. So we shared a beer driving home, and I said, this is a good opportunity to take conversation and see what she's thinking anyway. How you going, mate? And what's this? And she goes, no. She said, I've been in trouble and, I've been upset, but I really want to prove to your mum that I can go back to school and finish school and go and be a vet. She always wanted to be a vet. And show them that I'm bigger than that. And I was like, phew, and me, see, Kate, told you, a bit of hard work for the kids and make them think about life, and it's, and you think you've won, and so I said, yeah, well, that's good, mate, let's go with that and see how you go. Do you want to be at, no, I want to go back to boarding and I want to finish, and I'm not weak, I want to be strong. And I said, yeah, righto. And, bugger me dead 2 weeks later. We had dinner one night, Dolly cooked it, we all take it in turns cooking dinner, and we were playing cards and all went to bed like we normally do, and we woke up without her. So, it's just a part of your life that I don't really still to this day know how to explain it. It's the most hollow feeling that you'll get, and so much regret of what you could have and couldn't have done, to make a change of mind. But living with that thought of, what did I miss? Did she say something to me that I didn't pick up, or did I not give her enough time to talk about it? Or, so hindsight's a wonderful thing, but at the end of the day, we are where we are. So you've just got to, take the good out of it. So we thought, well, bugger it, let's start a charity here. And it wasn't really start a charity at the start. It was more like, shit, we've got to talk about this. If this happened to a friend of ours that's got same age kids or whatever, we couldn't live with ourselves of not sharing what we'd learnt and what we'd missed. So we honestly thought if we raised $5,000 and we could donate it to Beyond Blue or Kids Helpline or something, then we've done a little bit of good. And it's just blown into this, amazing opportunity to help kids and help mums and dads. So to get the information that we didn't have. So
mate, it's an unbelievable story, and it's not something that, I'm not a parent, I don't have any kids, but it's not something I would ever want to imagine for any parent to have to go through.
It's harrowing. Like, you wouldn't expect it to ever happen.
No.
That's the thing.
In the wash up of that actually going down, how was, because obviously, there would have been massive involvement from the school, I guess, and really unpacking what went down there. And
yeah, mate, there was, it was tough, and you go, as a parent, you go into a stage of denial, but then you go into a stage of anger, like, who did this to my baby girl? Who made her do this? What happened here? And to an extent, you try and blame somebody else all the time of what went wrong.
Well, you need answers.
You do.
It's only natural, and it's probably the hardest part of experiencing it.
Yeah,
right?
That's it. And I mean, it's hard. Schools are business. They've obviously got their reputation to protect and stand up to, and it's just one of those things. I say it a lot, and an old fella in the Northern Territory, Charlie King, he said to me right at the start, he said, there's one line in life, he said, you can either get bitter, or you can get better. And I thought, I can spend so much energy, was it the school's fault? Was it a kid's fault? Was it someone else's fault that I don't know about? Or can I take all that energy and put it into helping Joe Bloggs down the road, whose kid's going through exactly the same thing? So
that's a powerful way of doing it too, mate. Yeah. And it's credit to you, because it's a lot easier not to do that.
It is. I mean, don't worry, there's plenty of days I wake up and just go, why? Why do we put ourselves out in the public light? Why do I tell all my faults that I did wrong? It would have been a whole lot easier just to go back to work and pretend it didn't happen. But it comes back to that same old thing. We've got so many other family and friends that have got young children, and you just couldn't, you couldn't wish it on anyone. So
no, were you blown away, mate, with the response that you guys got? I mean, it was national news for a long time.
It was massive news.
It was huge.
Crazy.
There wouldn't have been anyone in Australia that didn't know.
I think
what
it just touched so many people. I think just Dolly's age, you know, and all that sort of stuff. Just for such a young girl like that to go through something like that, it is just shocking.
Yeah,
right?
And it is hard, And even now, it catches you unawares. Every now and then, there'll be a news story pop up or something. You'll see a face pop up on a something related to children's mental health or something like that, and you'll just see that photo pop up, and it can literally just go
floor you
it
again.
just wrecks you, But it is. I mean, we're just grateful for the support that we did receive. It's been, I don't know how you ever repay the support that you get from the community. It's unbelievable. But
yeah. Mate, I mean, were you blown away by the response you guys got? I mean,
yeah. I mean, well, it goes to show how naive I was too. I can remember me being all bloody technological savvy with my Facebook that I got about 6 months before, and I get a lot of messages and that, and I thought, and I started, trying to type thank you to everybody, and I thought, I'll get on this thing here and I'll just write a message, to thank everybody, and you have that anger in your heart, and when I was writing it, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to have a little dig here in case whoever was responsible for a lot of this is reading it, and just said, look, if it was you, if you're man enough, come to the service and see what's happened. And to me, I thought that was like literally if I was your friend, then you saw it, but you didn't. I didn't understand how Facebook worked, and it just went mad. We were getting and still do get messages from all around the world about, I read your posts and it's unbelievable and rah, and I just think this is exactly what we're trying to educate kids. Whatever you put on any social media platform, it's not private. It can just go crazy.
Anywhere and everywhere. Yeah, that's. I mean, I suppose that the saddest part that coincides with it is that child that was bullying your daughter. I mean, how do you know how they're going?
Yes and no. I mean, we've got, obviously Meg and Dolly are at the same school. They know what, Meg knows what was going on, but we've never released those names. We'll never ever approach those people. We'll just, you don't. It's a bit like what we talked about at the start. You don't know what those kids are going through as a family life.
No.
Trust me, at the start, I would have loved to have grabbed every single one of them, but then there's another family without a child. So, it is a very sickening thought that those people, were whatever they are doing now, may be hurting someone else. But, we try and work on resilience and prevention rather than, prosecuting, I suppose, for the want of better words.
Well, we were out at Roma at what was the name of the dinner?
Dancing Under the Stars.
Dancing Under the Stars, yeah. They were raising money for Dolly's Dream, and there was a girl who knew Dolly who was out there speaking, and she sort of said the same thing, could she have done more at the time, or all that sort of stuff. And it's such a hard question to ask yourself, because the reality is no, you probably couldn't have, you know what I mean? No one expects.
But it's not a very fair question.
It's not a very fair question, and it's really it's torturous to yourself, right?
It is.
It's just those things that will never be answered.
Yeah.
And there's probably kids, to your point, the kids who
they're probably going through hell now themselves.
Completely going through hell, or have their own have a version of events, and it's just like it's significant. I think for everyone involved and the rest of the school, it would have just rocked the entire school. Unimaginable.
Yeah, it is. So I suppose moving on from obviously that it's just tragic what's happened to you and your family, but the Dolly's Dream now, it's as I was saying, like, it's a national charity. Everyone knows about what Dolly's Dream stands for.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing with Dolly's Dream now?
Well, I mean, as I said, we've focused a lot on parents as well as kids. We obviously have programs in Queensland. We're doing 500 schools in Queensland as a trial with the Queensland government, and 50 in the Northern Territory, just to implement a program called eSmart. So it's a program developed to work with like your principal, your teachers, your students, and your parents.
Okay.
It costs, I think it's $3,500 for 4 years. So we've thrown a fair handful of cash at that to start it off with. It just sort of works so that if a child goes to this school and there's a problem with bullying and it's not getting fixed, there's just steps. It's pretty simple stuff. There's steps
just to work through it,
rather than it turn into a he said, she said, sort of scenario,
like a conflict resolution type thing.
Yeah. And there's things in there like a connect workshop, like connecting obviously to all the different moving parts, and then there's a digital license, so you can sit down with your little kids at, I think it starts at 2-year-old, which is freaking scary to me, but just teaches kids what they can and can't do online and what happens if they do things wrong. So like mum and dad can either sit down and do that with the kids, or teachers can do it as part of a curriculum lesson. And then a couple of weeks ago we launched the start of our parent hub. So it's like another go-to. It's only a link at the moment, and Kate is, crazy, wants to get into an app, but I mean that's obviously cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but we will get it there one day. But it's just a thing. Parents can go there, my child's using this app, what's it about? It just, it's stuff.
Bit more education.
Things to look out for, signs, behaviours, all that sort of stuff.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Like right down to the big topics of sexting and all that sort of stuff that most parents like us wouldn't have a clue.
So naive.
Talk about it. So, that's what it's sort of heading for now. And, we obviously, it's been a long time in the making. We have got a little bit of kickback about what are you doing with all this money and rah, but Rome wasn't built in a day. And we said at the start, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. And, there's already so many unbelievable charities out there that are doing such amazing work. Why go and copy it? Why not?
I know. It's
for sure.
So,
exactly right. I'd imagine that through this whole process, when you've got into this, by having gone through what yourself and the family went through, but I would imagine that you've learned like an absolute shitload about it all, and it's really evolved, the message you're understanding, all that sort of stuff. I'd imagine that a lot of parents out there who are really struggling with, their kids going through different things at school and don't know how to, don't know what to do, or how to help them.
That's right.
So I guess this is something really tailored towards them, that they can start to sort of understand how to help their kids and what's actually going on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a big thing that we thought, if you ring the principal and say, hey, this is happening, what are you going to do about it? Oh yeah, we'll do whatever. You think, oh yeah, it's done. But you don't ever want to keep pushing the envelope and saying, how are you going to fix it? When are you going to fix it? When is it going to be fixed by? It's little things like that we really think would have changed the course of Dolly's life. Had we have done all these steps that we now know of, I 100% guarantee we'd still have her today. So, that's our message that we want to get across. There is ways and means.
Mate, of course, and it's great to see that, there's something like that being implemented that's at an education level. It's, early prevention and trying to, shift the mindset, I suppose, of parents and kids alike, which is fantastic. I suppose I want to touch on, I spoke before about how big Dolly's Dream got, and, it was such big media. How did you personally handle being thrust into the limelight? I mean, it was probably something you weren't expecting. No. And is it something, how did you handle that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't really know. I think it's just a, spare of the moment thing. You get into it, and obviously, thank God, our first few interviews were on radio, so no one really got to look see what I look like. So
your melon's on there now.
But it is. I think it comes down to, mate, just being who you are. If you're going and you're talking to the Prime Minister, or if you're going and talking to a principal in a school, or if you're sitting in an airport and a mother comes up and sits down beside you and starts to cry, you can sit there and just talk to them. I think that's the biggest thing.
Do you think you found that it helped with your grieving process?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Some people tell me it's for the better, and some people tell me it's for the worse, but I think it did take my mind off it. Not off it, but I think off Dolly and what I was missing out on as a dad. But at the same time, probably made me more aware of where Meg was at, and, you could get so wound up in it, but then you just think, no, well, we've still got Meg, we've still got so much to focus for, so much to live for with her. So it was a really good balancer, I think, because a lot of parents that we've spoken to since that have lost children, they're still a wreck, 10, 15 years later. And don't worry, we are too. This is only a pretty face, but not a pretty face.
It was before you got rid of the handlebar moustache anyway.
Sore point. But, I think it does. I think it takes your mind off the actual grieving process and makes you focus that energy on something a little bit better. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, so I guess yourself and Kate and Meg would have been brought even closer together, through having been through this. And I mean, Kate's just a pillar of strength as well.
Yeah. Yeah, she is.
Yeah, had a few good yarns with her, and she gets her melon around on the telly as well. But, so it's absolute credit to all three of you, to be honest.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, Meg's been amazing. She's sort of our one go-to. I think like she's like a parent to us. We can level with her, and she's not ashamed to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Dad, why don't you come home for the weekend?" Or I want to go and do this. You haven't come and watched me at camp draft all year, and she really levels that message that I go out and tell everybody, spend more time with your family and don't work so much and, focus on your kids. And she's good enough person to throw it straight back in my face and say,
make
hey,
sure you're accountable.
Yeah, come on. Like,
do you think that you and Kate and Meg have opened up more, been more open now since that, like you're more open with each other?
Yeah, I think so. Meg and Dolly were obviously different little characters. Meg's got a very close bond with Kate, and she only turned 18 a couple of weeks ago, but it feels like she's been 28 for the last couple of years. But she's just a very mature little human, and as I said, she's got that knack of just leveling people and making you take a step back and think about it.
Yeah.
During the immediate grieving process, what sort of support network did you have around? Did all three of you and yourself as well have around to help you get through that?
Yeah, we had obviously remote, but we have some amazing friends up there. Like just they're the kind of people that you can go a month without talking to, and then you sit down and talk to them for 4 hours. It's just they'll ring you out
back to where you left off.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing about the bush. There is that bit of support there, and I not going to admit it, but I do try and hide it a lot. I haven't talked to anyone professionally. I haven't sought that sort of stuff, but in the back of your mind, you should, and I will one day. But it comes back to the same thing. Oh, I'm busy. Oh, I've got to do this. Oh, I've got to do that. But my mates up there and everywhere, they're not ashamed to say, "Hey, pull your freaking head in. Like, go home for the weekend or come and have a beer," or, it's just the little things like that help. It is an amazing little group of friends that can get you through it.
And I think it's probably got a lot to do with the fact that you're probably really still just processing it yourself, you know what I mean? And that's probably just such a long period of time. And I think it's not until you can really sort of process and understand within yourself that you can kind of go and seek out that help.
Yeah.
I suppose.
That's it. Yeah.
I was looking on the website, on the Dolly's Dream website just before, and there's a few points about I was out of the microphone there. A few points about your vision.
Yep.
For changing the culture, but one of the biggest things was is actually changing the culture to help prevent bullying happening. So I think that's a massive point to take away, because it's not just about kids at school.
Yep.
It's about their home lives, their parents, where they're coming from, people they look up to. We were talking, about politicians in question time just before, and it's across the board, right? It's not just
shit flows downhill.
It's not just favourite saying. It's not just something that needs to be fixed in schools.
No, definitely not.
It's just that we need.
It's
to
all round.
We need to get it into kids at a young age.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because we watch complete bullshit carry on.
We do. Yeah, we do. And it is. Probably get in trouble for saying it, but
into it.
The way politicians do carry on, in Parliament and question time, and I mean, there's probably not a lot of young kids out there that sit and watch it, but it's on the news. It flicks across the news every night, and it's just freaking ridiculous. If they can carry on like that and they're meant to be leading the country, then Jesus Christ, what hope have we got of teaching our kids?
Well, I think the other thing too now, I'm only 26, so I don't really know, but it just seems recently that there's more and more polarising views.
Yep.
So if you don't, agree with what I agree with, then you're against me.
Yep.
Which is sort of hard moving forward because it's just such a divide between people.
Yeah.
We're in
Whereas
the age of political correctness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
I
when it
suppose.
suits.
Yeah, but I suppose it is. But I wonder how because, we're all three of us here are working on getting more people to talk.
Yeah.
But I suppose people need to be more understanding of opposing views and what people may believe in, and be able to talk about it rather than have such a rigid viewpoint on
Well, that's
stuff.
that objective approach where you can have your own point of view and your own opinion, but you can listen to someone else's, understand where they're coming from, and accept that that's okay to have that position, that opinion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't all have to be on the same, but there's a level of respect that needs to
Absolutely.
occur for sure.
But I suppose the understanding is that, especially online, which is where most problems arise,
Yep.
because it's so easy to obviously hide behind a computer these days,
Yep.
is that I think there needs to be more. It needs to be more conversational rather than such blunt points. And then when someone's got an opposing view, you see it all the time.
Yeah.
It's just someone just chimes in and just calls them a fuckwit and stuff you. And it's just like, wow,
Yeah.
this isn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just
What's
I hate you and you hate you. So yeah, okay, cool. But you don't know anything about each other. It's such a strange thing. And again, it come back to the politics, is that's what so many politicians and the media, like we were saying before when we were having a chat, is it's so polarizing.
It is.
And
Yep.
it's just
It is.
it's flowing into the community.
It does. And I mean, a lot of people too, they hang, obviously the old sportsman cop a fair old flack for it too. But I mean, at the end of the day, whether they're politicians or media or sportsmen or just Joe Blow working down the street, monkey see, monkey do. And if kids see that sort of behaviour, as I said at the start, you don't have to be a fairy, you don't have to be a princess, and you don't have to be wrapped in cotton wool, but, just learn to get along. Yeah, you don't agree with him, but agree to disagree and get over it. Like, start talking about the next thing.
Yeah.
Just that flow-on effect, it's got no end to it, really.
Yeah, that is it. That is it. I want to talk about another thing we spoke about before we sat in here, about perceptions of, what people that are, trying to do good and are doing good,
Yep.
Especially in the non-for-profit sector, how people view how funds should be spent. And you were telling us an interesting story about a couple of work days back to back, no sleep, and you had to catch a flight down to Melbourne. Run us through that.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. It's obviously busy up there in the middle of the year in my line of work, and we were going to a charity ball, and got asked and sponsored to go down to it, and anyway, they were nice. They were great, great company that looked after us, and they threw me up the front of the plane and sat there. And
Always wondered what that's like.
yeah, it's pretty cool. They have real.
Is it
nice
worth it?
Yeah,
Spacious.
I don't know. I've never paid for it, but
They
it's-
seem to get free water when you go in there. I saw them yesterday after when I was getting on the flight. They all got a free water before you sit down.
Yeah, you can
Like
have
I'm
sparkling
perishing.
or still. But I was sitting there like I am now, tired and trying to focus on work and focus on this bloody thing we're going to. And this fella, he come up and he goes, just looked down and he said, "Oh, so that's where all the hard bloody money goes." And I went, "Beg your pardon?" He goes, "Oh," he said, "I'm glad you spend it on yourself and doing something good for yourself." And I went, I just didn't. He just floored me. I literally had nothing to come back with apart from wanted to flip him the bird. But I thought, shit, and I had wow. Anyway, it wasn't until I got up to go to the toilet about halfway through, and bugging me daddy's sitting right behind me, and I just felt like saying, "So how much have you donated to a charity in your life? What have you gone out and put your personal life out in the whole social, public arena for people to criticise? What have you done that you can walk on here and tell me what I haven't done?"
But people don't know. People are naive. Like, I mean, yeah, to be clear, this is a donated flight, so there was no funds transferred anyway.
It's a throwaway comment that he's clearly not even thought, and it goes back to all this bullying stuff. It's
It
like you
does.
don't know what you say. Sorry, I cut you off.
You
I know
haven't cut
hate
me
that.
off. I do hate that.
Keep going.
No, but I'm just
Don't get
saying
violent.
that I'm not going to get violent. I'm not going to get violent. No, I was saying, people just don't understand the impact of their words sometimes.
No, they don't. They don't. And I mean, there's a flip side to that. I mean, I've had it a couple of times now where we've had flights like that, and a lady will walk up to you and just start to cry. I want to sit down beside it and have a big yarn, and whether you're sitting in an airport, walking down the street. I've had people walk up to me down the street and mothers and fathers and just start crying and say, oh my God, we've read your story. We've gone and we've picked up our kid's phone and we've picked up their iPad and we've found what they're doing. And, we've had some very confronting conversations with people face to face, let alone on social media, about what parents have found on their kids' phones and stuff since our stories come out. So, I mean, they're the good sides of what we do, and they're the reward of what we do, I suppose, for us.
How do you actually deal with some of those conversations? Because, I mean, we've had some really tough conversations too doing this sort of stuff. And, it's not something that you can be a good conversationalist, you can believe in your cause and be right behind it, but you're not necessarily equipped to handle some of the real hard conversations that come with the territory.
Absolutely. And, I mean, the biggest thing I think you can do for someone is just let them talk. If that person comes up to you and they've obviously decided in their head that they need to talk, is let them talk. Like, don't cut them off. Don't say, oh, yeah, I know how you feel, or
it'll be okay.
It'll be okay, or,
thanks, mate.
It's nothing to worry about. I think you've just got to sit there and just let them spit it out, and some of it is pretty tough, especially parents that have lost a child or all but lost a child. Like, I've had conversations with parents where they've found their child, seconds from doing it, and there's nothing you can say to make it better. I don't know. There's probably someone that's trained a lot more than I am that could say something, but I'm buggered if I know what the words would be. But you just got to sit there and let them.
You're right. I don't think there is anything you can say to make it better. But yeah, I mean, it's 100% right. Just allowing someone to get it off their chest. But I guess the difficulty is when you're talking about kids.
Yeah.
It's just so confronting to think that kids are going through this kind of stuff. You know, they shouldn't they should be running around and getting, just
playing footy and playing netball.
Yeah, just being kids.
But do you think that, do you think kids really understand what they've gone and done? Do you think
so? I don't think so. I think a lot of it is what they think. There's this image that you've got to be, cruel or mean to be respected, I think, in a certain way. You've got to be this bigger, alpha male sort of ego to be respected and to have people like you. And I honestly think it's the other way around. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm no angel. I've ask anyone that's worked for me, I'm not the nicest person to work for. But if someone's having a bad day, you've just got to be able to let it go. And, even sporting groups and stuff like that, there's a little kid might come to a camp after something and he's just got an old station horse that's just barely getting him around, and the next kid might go in on something that his mum and dad brought from Landmark for $30,000. But at the end of the day, both the kids are there to have fun. So why not help them equally? And I'll be honest, it's since Dolly's died that it's really hit home to me to be that person, to ignore face value and material things and just
take people for who they are.
That's it, you know. People come up to you in the street and want a yarn, have a yarn to them. Like, what's it going to hurt, My favourite trick, and I tell a few people this one, is
You're going to tell a few more right now.
As you can see, I go through Macca's a little bit.
Nothing wrong with that.
Not much else is open in Darwin in the middle of the night for a feed, but my favourite one is you'll go through and you'll put your order in, then you pull up the window and you pay for the car behind you. And I did it there a while ago in Darwin, and this fella, he's pulled up and the lady's like, "Oh, move forward, please, sir." And he actually got, seriously went off the Richter scale because this lady wouldn't let him pay. And she's trying to tell him that the car in front's paid and you don't. And he just...
Is it a paid forward thing?
You've paid forward Macca's.
Run us through this.
And he was just out of his freaking
Is this a thing in Darwin? People pay forward Macca's?
No, it's just tick.
It's just a cool thing I like to do.
Oh, you do it?
Yeah, it's just funny to watch.
It's Tick's trick. There you go. There's the trick in you.
There's a trick.
Like
yeah.
just a good Samaritan thing.
Yeah, it's just funny.
Yeah,
to
you
watch.
make
That's
someone's day.
I'll get freaking stung one day. You watch someone will come through and order like 5 family bags or something, and I'll be broke. But you know,
Mate, that's unreal.
Okay, but how does
It's a
this?
little act of kindness?
Yeah,
I like it.
Awesome. How does that actually work? Because what do you say? Do you say, right, I'll pay for the guys the meal behind me, but only up to $20? Like cap it at 20.
Cap it at 20.
And they're not getting a flake in their soft serve.
That Macca's manager will be in there. Is that Tick Everett again? Yeah, just add on more to that next order. Feed us all.
Feed us all.
Oh mate, that's unreal. That's really nice.
It's just, you know, it's not a hard thing to do, and you know, it's same. I'm shocking driving through the traffic, and someone will be trying to get in, so I'll just stop in 2 lanes of traffic or slow right down, let a car come in, and people toot horns, and I actually get a kick out of doing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's such. I ended up getting out of that fella at Macca's. I just jumped out of the car. I said, mate, it's paid for. Just calm down. I hope the coffee makes you feel better. And got in my car and drove away. And you could just see him. He was like, I want to be cranky. I am cranky, but I got a free feed.
It's like, how is this? What is going on here? What? How? Why? Why?
Yeah.
Why has he done this?
Yeah, that's
That's
it.
awesome.
It is good.
So,
But,
yeah, wow. Yeah. So, do you reckon this whole experience for you is, for want of a better word, softened you up a little bit?
oh, definitely. This made me a better person for sure. You
Yeah,
know,
wow.
it definitely has. You know, it's you know, we were lucky enough to get that Australian of the Year Local Hero Award, and I can remember when they rang me and I was on the tractor stacking hay, and I said, yeah, mate, no worries, whatever, just give Kate a ring or whatever. Anyway, I got home that night and I was telling Kate about it. She goes, excuse me? You what? You know what? I said, you better ring him back tomorrow. Anyway, I rang him back and had a yarn to him, and then we went to the Darwin thing, and they're like, oh, you got to bring some friends. And we're like, oh, shit. Anyway, last minute, asked these really good friends of ours, and because Meg was going to be by herself if we won. Not that was going to happen. Anyway, we did, and we shit, that was pretty cool. And you know, and the charity got a lot of publicity and stuff out of that, which was awesome. And then we're lucky enough to go to Canberra, and you know, you're surrounded by all these other nominees from all around Australia that have just done amazing. Like, you know, you're in a room full of people, you know, the coolest people in Australia, really.
Yeah.
And then you get you know, you win that category, you just, you know, I don't know, it just makes you feel a little bit surreal, you know, you don't know why.
What am I doing? How did we end up here? Why us?
Yeah, why us? That's it, you know, and we get that question, why you? Like, why is Dolly's story better than my niece's story or my nephew's story? And I'm like, well, it's not Dolly's story, mate. It's the next Dolly that we're trying to save, you know, don't think about it as we're trying to make Dolly famous or we're trying to put her up on a pedestal. It's the next little Dolly that couldn't talk like she could. And that's what we're trying to say.
And I dare say, if you could have it the other way, you'd give it all bloody back and not be in that position at all. If it, of course. So it's not like I'm not here, you know, by choice kind of thing. It's just
for sure. I mean, as much as I love you guys' company, I'd much rather not be here.
Oh, come on, mate.
Yeah, but I mean, it is, and you do have to remind people of that every now and then.
Yeah, we've been through hell to be here.
To be here,
Yeah,
you know, we're trying to make it better for everyone. You know, we've lost what, you know, no parent would want to lose. So we're trying to help you not be in the same boat as us, basically.
Have you and Kate sat down and just sort of taken 5?
Yeah,
to
have you had a
realise
minute?
What you've
Yeah, we sit on a few planes.
yeah.
Normally go to sleep.
When you're not getting abused by
blokes in business class.
Yeah, but no, we keep saying we're going to take a holiday, but you know, we're both conscious. We've got, you know, so to speak, real lives too. You know, we've got an amazing employers. I've got an amazing company that I work for, and they're great. You know, they let me come and do this sort of stuff and keep that charity stuff going. So you feel like you've got to reward that and, you know, and pay that back. So, you know, we've got an amazing little group of staff that work with me, and, you know, they're great. They just, I think they can nearly tell when I'm having a bad Dolly day. Not that they'd ever say it, but, you know, there is days where you just don't want to talk to people and you don't want to be at work and you want to be a selfish prick and go home. But
There's nothing wrong with that.
you know, you've just got to push your way through it. And, you know, we'd love to go on a holiday for a week and have no phone and have nothing and just chill out. But, you know, it comes back to the same old story. You want to help the next person, and in a weird way, you don't want to be responsible if, one kid falls through the crack because we were a bit selfish and want to take a week or 2 weeks off and go and have a holiday. We could have done so much more of this program or so much more of that program. So,
mate, she'll still be there when you get back from your trip to Fiji. You owe it to yourself. You all do.
I don't really have the legs to go to Fiji, I'll be honest.
Mate, you're preaching. You're not talking to a couple of leg models over here, eh?
What's wrong with my legs? Look great.
Looks great.
Ask John Cooter, he'll tell you.
You're right. Bloody JC. So, what's next?
Well, I don't really know where to start with what's next. I don't know if we've got enough time, but obviously we want to keep... Our big long dream is to have all the schools in Australia, accredited in a way, with five blue hearts, so a bit like a motel, 4.5 blue hearts, 5 blue hearts,
yeah,
3
okay.
blue hearts. And that's,
I suppose that keeps them accountable, eh?
Yeah,
it's a good idea.
Just, they've got to do it with bloody, they do these NAPLAN testings and stuff to rate their academical bloody performance or whatever they do. Why can't we hold them accountable for how they look after our kids?
Yeah, well, it's kind of more important. That side of the things is far more important than the NAPLAN results.
I would have thought so.
Yeah, life or death.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
I mean, you can learn everything else, but you just can't just learn how to be a good, a kind person, right? Like it needs to be ingrained from a young age. And yeah. Oh, that's really cool. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
That's something that will really have some legs, I think.
Yeah, so that's our long-term one. It's going to take a lot of work, but if it takes me 10, 15, 20 years, we'll get there eventually. But
seems like you're up for it, mate.
Yeah, love a challenge, eh? Love a challenge.
And the butterfly, where did the butterfly come from?
Well, that's a Dolly thing. She had a little girl butterflies, and she just had a thing with butterflies. She could obviously draw like there's no tomorrow. She's got mobs of drawings and stuff of butterflies, and it's, I don't know, it's sort of, it was her, but it's just that little sign of, I don't know, peacefulness, I suppose.
Symbolic of the whole thing, isn't it?
Bit of everything. So the little butterfly just sort of goes everywhere now, and I don't know, it's a way of, keeping her close, I suppose, and having her with you all the time. So
awesome, mate. I'm sure she'd be absolutely overwhelmed and so proud of what you and Kate and Meg are doing now, and it's a credit to you all for what you've gone and done and what you've created and trying to bring some positivity out of such a dark place. And, mate, thanks so much for your time today. It's been unreal.
I just want to quickly mention we've got a mutual mate that we mentioned, but we haven't had a yarn about him.
Oh, Coxie.
Tiny. little fella.
The little fella.
What'd you say his nickname was up north?
You told me you weren't going to ask me that on air.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to this question.
No, he's a good man. He came up there to work with some really good friends of ours, and poor bugger, down in that country, cold and everything, and obviously up there, and it's completely opposite climate. And I can remember one fella working there, and I pulled up there one day in the truck, and he said, "Oh yeah, run down there. The water buffalo's down there. He'll show you where to put them cattle." I was like, "I was talking buffalo." Right. Anyway, I met Tiny, and he introduced himself as Brad, and we had just a yarn. He is just one of the most amazing humans that you'd ever wish to meet. He's such a kind, generous. He's a fellow that I look up to a lot. He started with not much, obviously, and he's where he is now. And the only way he is where he is now is through bloody hard work. So yeah, he's a pretty cool character.
Just for reference, we're talking about little Brad Cox, Tiny they call him. Brad Cox. Yeah, I mean he's been a huge supporter of ours, him and his band.
Yeah.
Who are just incredible.
Yeah.
Since the start, like for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, met him up at the Gympie Muster and the boys, and he had an incredibly touching tribute to both Dolly, and spoke of the work of what you guys are doing and TradeMutt and all that sort of stuff. And there wasn't really a dry eye in the house. He took the crowd from absolutely heaving to his tunes to absolute silence and speaking from the heart like that. And Yeah, I won't forget that anytime soon. It was super touching. But
and you know, we need more of that. You know, and I've seen that. You know, the poem and everything all there, but I'll be honest, I haven't watched it yet because I know I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'll cry.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was like Tiny when he won the golden guitar and he just off his bat did that thing and just busted me. You know, it's those little things like that from your mates that just, you know, sit you on your ass and there's no coming back from it.
And I think one of the most important things is the fact that the caliber of bloke or the caliber of person who is delivering that message.
Yeah.
A guy like Brad Cox,
Yeah.
who is a young fella, you know, he's a rugged fella, he's got a beard, he rocks out, he has a bloody good time.
Yeah.
And he draws that kind of crowd as well, right? He draws that crowd that relates to him. And so for him to be able to use that persona and then deliver such important messages like that, it's an absolute credit to him. And, you know, I'm just, we're absolutely stoked to have, you know, is he an ambassador? I suppose he is an ambassador, isn't he?
Only when he puts the budgie smugglers on, I think he should get his ambassador license.
My God. He probably could have used the budgie smugglers back in the water buffalo days or what?
He could have. Probably would have bloody helped him out a lot.
Rinsing off in the trough or what? Yeah. No, well, mate, I guess we're sort of nearing the end here, but yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you in here, and it's been incredible to meet both yourself and Kate. And we haven't met Meg yet, but I'm sure I'll meet her at some point. Maybe at a Brad Cox gig.
Maybe.
So I reckon that's a call right there.
Yeah.
Should sort that out.
Put that on the program for sure.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, mate, and we'll hopefully catch up with you again very soon.
Appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tricky.
Thanks.